You can't smoke here. I'm calling the cops.
You're mistaken. You're trespassing on my lawn.
The sun hung low over Serenity Lane, casting a warm amber glow across my backyard in the exclusive gated community of Crestview Heights, a pristine enclave in suburban North Carolina. The air was thick with the scent of honeysuckle and freshly cut grass, a luxury I'd paid handsomely for. At 54, I, Benjamin Carter, had built a tech empire from the ground up, and this sprawling estate complete with a manicured lawn, a koi pond, and a flagstone patio was my reward. As president of the Crestview Heights Homeowners Association, I'd crafted the rules that kept this neighborhood a haven of order and beauty. Settling into my cedar lounge chair, I lit a rare Cuban cigar, its rich aroma curling into the evening air. This was my sanctuary, a testament to decades of relentless ambition. The tranquility shattered with a voice like a buzzsaw. "Hey, you can't smoke that here." My eyes flicked open, landing on a wiry teenager, about 16, standing at the edge of my property line. His name, I'd later learn, was Dylan, and he was a picture of suburban audacity, a neon orange t-shirt, baggy jeans, and a mop of sandy hair sticking to his sweaty forehead. His finger jabbed toward me like a prosecutor in a courtroom. "This is a smoke-free community. I'm calling the cops." I exhaled slowly, savoring the cigar's flavor before responding. The accusation was absurd. I'd written the HOA bylaws myself, and Article 5, Section 4 explicitly permitted smoking on private property. "You're mistaken, young man," I said, my voice calm but firm. "And you're standing on my lawn. That's trespassing." Dylan's face flushed a deeper red, his eyes narrowing. "Mistaken? You people come into our neighborhood, thinking you can do whatever you want." The phrase "you people" hit like a brick, its meaning unmistakable. As a black man who'd moved into the largest house in Crestview Heights 4 months ago, I knew exactly what he was implying. This wasn't about my cigarette, it was about my existence here. He yanked out his phone, his fingers shaking with righteous fury. "I'm calling 911. They'll sort you out." He dialed, his voice rising to a theatrical pitch. "Hello? There's a suspicious guy at 312 Serenity Lane. He's smoking, acting threatening. I feel unsafe." I watched him, a cold knot forming in my gut. This was no innocent mistake, it was a calculated escalation, and I sensed a larger storm brewing. Within minutes, a police cruiser rolled up, its lights painting the hedges in red and blue. 2 officers emerged. Officer Hargrove, a grizzled man in his late 50s with a weathered face and a permanent scowl, and Officer Vance, a younger man with a military haircut and a swagger that oozed overconfidence. Dylan rushed to them, his voice cracking with feigned panic. "Officers, thank God. He's right there, refusing to stop." I stayed seated, hands visible, cigar extinguished in a crystal ashtray. "Officers," I said evenly. "This young man trespassed onto my property and accused me of breaking rules that don't exist. I'm the homeowner here." Vance's hand hovered near his holster, his eyes narrowing. Hargrove jotted notes, barely glancing up. "He says you threatened him," Hargrove muttered. "That's a fabrication," I replied. "I have security cameras that recorded the entire incident. You're welcome to review them." Dylan's bravado faltered, his eyes darting nervously. The mention of cameras shifted the air, but Vance scoffed. "Why would he lie?" he asked, his tone suggesting he'd already made up his mind. The encounter ended with Hargrove telling Dylan to go home, but Vance shot me a look of pure suspicion. "Keep the peace," he said, the words dripping with warning. As their cruiser pulled away, the silence returned, but it was heavy, tainted. I sat back, staring at the darkening sky, knowing this was only the opening salvo. The next morning, the real adversary appeared. A woman stormed across the street, her movements sharp and deliberate. She was in her mid-40s, clad in expensive yoga gear, her auburn hair pulled into a severe bun. This was Monica, Dylan's mother, and she exuded the kind of entitled confidence that thrived in places like Crestview Heights. "You've got some gall," she spat, stopping just short of my patio. "Threatening my son and lying to the police." I stood, keeping my tone measured. "Your son trespassed, made baseless accusations, and called the authorities unnecessarily. I suggest you familiarize yourself with the HOA bylaws." Her eyes blazed, her lips curling into a sneer. "We've lived here for 7 years. People know us. They know Dylan. You don't belong here, stinking up our community with your cigars and your arrogance. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a venomous hiss. My boyfriend, Ray, is very protective of us. He's tight with Sheriff Callahan. They go way back, fishing buddies. You've made a big mistake, Mr. Carter. The threat was unmistakable. She had connections, and I was an outsider in a rigged system. She turned and strode back to her house, leaving me with a chilling certainty that this was war. For a week, an uneasy quiet settled over Serenity Lane. I upgraded my security, more cameras, audio recording, motion-activated floodlights, preparing for what I knew was coming. Then Ray arrived. His battered pickup truck, a relic of rust and dents, looked like an alien artifact among the sleek Audis and Lexuses. He was lean, wiry, with a shaved head and tattoos snaking up his neck. His pale blue eyes scanned my house with cold precision as he spat tobacco onto Monica's driveway. This was no cartoon villain, he was a predator, and I was his target. The harassment began subtly but relentlessly. My trash cans, left neatly at the curb, were overturned, their contents scattered across my driveway in a deliberate arc. At 2 a.m., Ray's truck would roar to life, idling just long enough to jolt me awake, my heart pounding in the dark. A noxious chemical stench, something like burnt rubber, drifted from their yard, forcing me to seal my windows. HOA complaints flooded in, accusing me of absurd violations, an unapproved mailbox, a hazardous garden gnome left out overnight. Monica's whispers turned neighbors against me. Friendly nods became cold shoulders, and I saw her, with her practiced look of concern, gesturing toward my house as she spoke to others. The psychological toll was brutal. I'd catch Ray on his porch, sharpening a hunting knife, his eyes locked on my windows. Or I'd pull into my driveway to find him leaning against his truck, smirking, a silent promise of worse to come. My once peaceful home felt like a fortress under siege. But the breaking point came when my 12-year-old daughter, Ava, visited for the weekend. We were tossing a frisbee in the backyard when she chased it into the wooded area bordering my property. She returned, her face ashen, clutching the frisbee. Scrawled in black marker was a racial slur, followed by a crude sketch of a noose. My blood ran cold, rage surging through me. They'd targeted my child. This wasn't just personal, it was a declaration of war. I didn't confront them. That's what they wanted, a reaction to paint me as the aggressor. Instead, I turned my skills as a tech investor to a new mission, dismantling their lives. I hired a private investigator, Leo, a grizzled ex-cop with a knack for uncovering secrets. I gave him Monica and Ray's names in a simple order. Find everything. Their rental application, access through my holding company, was a goldmine. Monica's freelance marketing job was a fiction. She was buried in debt, with a history of filing fraudulent slip-and-fall lawsuits against small businesses. Ray was Warsea Ghost with a sealed juvenile record for a racially motivated assault on a Latino teenager. His sparse social media linked him to a network of white supremacists, their profiles littered with Confederate flags and hate-filled rants. Leo's most damning find was Ray's text messages, obtained through questionable means I no longer cared about. They detailed his vandalism, slashed tires, the bleach poured on my prize azaleas, the rock through my study window, and his coordination with Monica to harass me. Most chillingly, they revealed Ray's protection by Sheriff Callahan, who used him as muscle for an off-the-books rental empire in the county's poorer districts. Callahan's influence extended to Councilwoman Patricia Reed, who buried complaints against him in exchange for financial favors. My complaints weren't just an annoyance, they threatened their entire corrupt network. Going to the police was pointless. Callahan's men would bury the evidence. I needed an honest cop, a rare commodity in this town. The moment came one sweltering Saturday night. I'd just hung up with Ava, who was too scared to visit, her voice trembling as she asked if the bad man was gone. The guilt and fury were suffocating. I stepped onto my porch, needing air, when Ray emerged from his house, a beer bottle in hand. "What you staring at, boy?" he slurred, the word a deliberate jab. He hurled the bottle into the street, where it shattered. "This is my town. We don't want your kind here." He confessed to everything, the vandalism, the slurs, the threats, his voice rising with drunken hate. Then he stalked toward me, crossing the street with menacing purpose. I'm going to teach you a lesson, he growled, climbing my porch steps. My body screamed to fight, but I saw the trap. Instead, I spoke, my voice steady. You're confessing to felonies, Ray. I've got it all recorded. And I know about Callahan, his rentals, your role in his schemes. His face went pale, the bravado replaced by panic. He lunged, a desperate move. I sidestepped, and he tripped over a wrought iron planter, crashing into my door. Blood oozed from his forehead. My cameras, positioned above the porch, captured every second in high definition. I called 911, framing it as a medical emergency to bypass Callahan's cronies. A man's injured on my porch. He's drunk, erratic. Please send help. Officer Malik Thompson, Ayurveda black man, tall, with a calm authority that set him apart from Hargrove and Vance. His name tag gleamed under the streetlights, and I knew instantly he wasn't one of Callahan's men. I invited him inside, showing him the footage of Ray's confession and assault, then the dossier. Monica's lawsuits, Ray's criminal past, their texts, and Callahan's corruption. Thompson's jaw tightened, his eyes burning with a quiet fury. This is bigger than vandalism, he said. This is a conspiracy. We need to move carefully. We devised a sting. I installed a conspicuous new security system: thermal cameras, parabolic mics, encrypted servers, making sure Ray and Monica saw the vans and technicians. I filed a $7 million lawsuit against the city and sheriff's department for negligence, leaking it to the local news to rattle Callahan. Leo's intercepts showed Ray planning a home invasion with 2 accomplices to intimidate me into dropping the suit, targeting a night when Ava was supposed to visit. We moved Ava to a safe location, and Thompson, with 3 trusted officers, hid in my panic room, monitoring the feeds. Saturday night, 3 masked figures crept through the woods, smashing a rear window. Ray's voice growled, "Sign this, or we make you." As an accomplice raised a crowbar, the house blazed with light. "Police, drop your weapons." Thompson's voice boomed. The intruders froze, then surrendered. The cameras caught everything, including Ray's mention of Callahan's orders. The fallout was swift. Ray confessed, implicating Callahan. The state attorney general took over, arresting Callahan and forcing Reed's resignation. Monica fled, her reputation in tatters. Neighbors offered apologies. I sat on my porch months later, Ava asleep inside, the neighborhood quiet. A new family moved into Monica's house, unaware of the war fought there. I'd won, but the peace was hard-earned, a reminder that hatred festers behind even the prettiest facades. What are your thoughts on the role of violence and injustice in this story? Have you faced similar battles, or do you believe there's another way to fight such hatred? Share your perspective in the comments. Let's discuss how we confront prejudice and corruption in our communities.